About your Italian. Hello world, this is Edward Bevilacqua, the publisher of Ciao Tutti, member of the Italian American Club, and we're sitting here with one of the favorite members of the club, Lorraine Hunt Bono, who is almost a lifelong resident here, right?
Almost, Ed. I was just a baby when my family moved here from Niagara Falls, New York.
How old were you?
I was about 6, 7 months old.
Oh,
Don't
really?
remember traveling out here.
Okay.
Came to this tiny little western town out in the middle of the desert for my parents' health. My father had terrible rheumatic fever. My mother had arthritis, crippling. The doctors said, get out of Las Vegas. Oops.
Cut.
We got to cut.
No, we can't cut. This is live.
We can't.
No.
Okay, well,
get out of?
Not to get out of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Never to get out of Las Vegas. Get out of Niagara Falls in Buffalo, because if you don't, you'll never live to see your little daughter Lorraine grow up. So Mom and Dad sold everything they had from their weddings, the toasters, everything you can imagine, sold it and bought a good sturdy car, an old Chrysler that was, well, a new Chrysler in those days, with the big wheels on the side, packed up a few belongings that they had left, put their little baby girl with my dad's sister, Aunt Madeline, 14 years old, excuse me, to help babysit me. And boy, we came west.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was quite an experience. We came in December. And my
So
mother and father tell me we left Niagara Falls in Buffalo in the snowstorm.
Yeah.
And it was snowing and blizzardy. Tires had chains on them, of course. Excuse me. And that big old car. And 4 days later, we out in the middle of nowhere. We hit this place called Boulder Dam, and cross over the hill, and we end up in this beautiful green valley called Boulder City.
Oh, okay.
And my father and mother said, oh my God, we must have died and gone to heaven.
Now, were they planning to come to Las Vegas, or were they...
They chose Las Vegas, yes.
Before leaving Niagara Falls? Okay, so it wasn't that they were on their way to California.
No, they were never on their way to California.
Okay.
The doctor in the hospital told them they needed to go to one of two places. One was called Las Vegas, Nevada, and the other was called Phoenix, Arizona. And he said the reason they needed to do that was because of their health condition, they needed a warm, dry desert climate. So literally, Ed, they chose Las Vegas because they said it sounded more Italian.
Oh, wow. That's a good story. And what did your dad do in Niagara Falls?
In Niagara Falls, he worked in a chemical plant.
Okay.
And because of his rheumatic fever, he obviously couldn't serve in the armed services, but he worked in the plant when he was in and out of the hospitals. Okay. So when he came to Las Vegas, someone told us on our way here that there's this plant in Henderson, Nevada called Stauffer Chemical Company. And so lo and behold, as soon as we got here, Dad walked in, and they were having some kind of an emergency with the chemicals, and most of the cowboys in there really didn't know much about chemical plants, and most of the ones that did had already were in the they're in World War II, and they're there fighting for this country. And so as my dad walked in, the guy said, well, we got a problem. My dad, what's your problem? All this stuff is, we're going to have an explosion. And my father runs in with him, and he goes, oh, you need to do this, this, and this. They immediately did it, and everything calmed, and they said, oh my God, where did you come from? They hired him immediately, made him a foreman.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long did that last before?
He was there until my mother convinced him that the restaurant business was much better, because my mother had grown up in her grandfather's boarding house, he was called the bootlegger, because he sold beer and wine without benefit of a license during Prohibition.
Now, was he the one
in the United
lobby?
States? Yeah, he's the one with the picture in the lobby of our restaurant.
Okay.
Luigi Zoya.
Oh.
But he migrated from Padua, Italy,
okay,
to Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
It was easier to get into Canada than it was in the United States. So he ended up there and built this big boarding house, started my great-grandmother Maria, like my mother, named after her grandmother, was a wonderful, wonderful cook from Venice, and taught my mother all that she knew. My mother ended up running the boarding house till she married my father, and we moved out to Las Vegas. So when we came out to Las Vegas, Dad went to work at the chemical company, and Mother went to work in a restaurant, of course.
Now, your cousin Larry last week said something about your dad and your uncle opened the restaurant,
Yes.
but your mother and aunt really...
Oh, it was the girls, of course.
Okay.
The boys didn't know anything about the food business, but they looked great in those chef's hats and the chef's coats. So we made them Chef Luigi Ruvo and Chef Alberto Perry.
Okay.
And then Mama Maria was the real chef,
your mother,
having learned from her grandmother, yes, in the kitchen. And Angelina, and Angie was the personable waitress in the front of the house.
Okay.
Angelina from the pizzeria, she was the front of the house.
Okay.
So that's how we started that little pizzeria. And Larry and I were both in school, and we'd sit at a corner table and do our homework.
Okay.
And, well, the girls were really running the place, and the boys wore the hat and took all the accolades from the customers.
I see. Now, then did the two families, they opened the Venetian, then later?
No, we all opened the Venetian together.
Oh, okay.
My mother and father and Angie and Lou opened the Venetian Pizzeria on Fremont Street in 1955.
Okay.
And then sometime in around 1962 maybe or 63, my father and Louis were both involved in real estate. They bought the land at West Sahara, and then the family built the Venetian Ristorante on West Sahara, and they opened it all together with Angie and Lou and Mary and Al.
Okay.
With, again, Mama in the kitchen. And this time, because it was a much bigger restaurant, Lou and Al and Angie were in the front of the house. And then Angie started to go back in the kitchen and help Mom in the back, and we hired more people because it was much bigger.
Sure.
And they were very successful.
Right.
Until the boys decided they didn't want to be in the restaurant business anymore. And some gentlemen came in from Chicago who were restaurateurs, and they bought the Venetian from the Perrys and the Ruvos.
Okay.
And so they sold it to them. And then after a period of time, which is a longer story that we have to do here, I had built on land that I bought when I was singing with Jerry Colonna, a little place. It was just going to be a little bar and a jazz club at Tropicana and Eastern.
Okay.
And my mother was making the sauce and meatballs. And then the boys that had the Venetian decided they wanted to sell. Well, my mother and father had already opened the bootlegger, which bar really with me.
Yeah.
And so then Angie and Lou and Larry, they all bought back into our old So we had, they had Angie and the Ruvos had on the west side of town, and then we had the bootlegger on the east side of town.
And so what did you learn from your mother? Obviously, cooking.
Oh my goodness.
Hard work. Passion.
Don't be a whiner and a complainer. Stand on your own 2 feet. Young lady, anything you want, you buy for yourself.
Okay.
And be independent. And I mean, every good quality that I can imagine in anybody. I call my mother my angel. She has just been so instrumental in so many people's lives, her brothers, her sisters, all the family, as well as being a talented chef. She's just an incredible person. My father was the visionary. He was the one that took me around and showed me the land. And he'd say, look at that land, Laurie. You know, there's not going to make any more of that dirt, you know, all the real estate stories. And he got me thinking about business and investments, although all I wanted to do was sing.
So how did that start?
Music.
How did that career start? Or how old were you?
My father played the guitar,
Okay.
and I sang since I was a little tiny gal, and I had quite a nice voice and a big one.
Yeah.
And a little problem in the choir at church, though, because I sang too loud all the time. I think I always wanted to do the solos. But I was singing, and I loved music. Started taking piano lessons in the third grade. So they encouraged it? And they encouraged it, and I was very successful at it. And went right from Las Vegas High School to Westlake College of Music. Studied there for 1 year. And then after that, came home for a summer vacation, and there was an opportunity to go into the Riviera Hotel, which they just imploded, and with a guy by the name of Bobby Page. And I started singing with Bobby at the Riviera, and then realized that, hey, I'm not going back to LA, I'm staying right here, and I'm going to form my own group, which I did, the Laurie Perry Four.
Okay.
And I subsequently opened the Landmark Hotel in 1969, where Howard Hughes was my boss. And interesting stories about that time of my life in entertainment. Elvis and the transition,
and
Frank and the
What was it like here then?
Wonderful. It was exciting, and it was still a small town.
Okay.
And then when I started to develop the land I had bought when I was singing with Jerry Colonna, when I started to build that little jazz club by Tropicana and Eastern that turned out to be the Bootlegger Restaurant, I took a hiatus supposedly from show business and started getting very involved in the restaurant business, and then built a few stores adjoining my restaurant. Suddenly I was a landlady. Suddenly I was the one that came to with their problems with government, bureaucracy, and I got involved in government affairs, trying to protect my tenants and my family's business. And then one day, as I was involved, I was the chairman-elect of the Chamber of Commerce, and someone said, "You should run for office." I said, "Well, I'm a music major." But they said, "No, you've been in business for 25 years. You know the perils of and the way government is ruining the American dream with all of their rules and regulations and taxes and labor laws and all these things that we didn't have when my mother and father first started. It was freer and open and, a whole different environment to regulate everything. You can't regulate creativity."
Right.
And so I got real involved, and that was a passion for me. And my son was grown and out of the house, and I said, I never served in the armed services. Let me go into politics. And that led me into the county commission and led me to become the first woman chairman of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, and then ultimately to run for lieutenant governor, where I overseed the Department on Economic Development,
and you went
which
to
is
China.
predominantly small business, and tourism, which I had been doing through the entertainment business and the hospitality. So that was kind of a natural fit for me.
Sure. Now,
job.
when you went to China as part of that, right?
I opened, one of my dreams when I was elected was to open tourism offices in People's Republic of China.
Oh, wow.
I thought the market for Las Vegas and the market for Nevada is global. It's not just, I mean, we had Atlantic City and the proliferation of gaming in every jurisdiction, and logic will tell you when your market is limited, you grow your market.
Yeah.
So I was told by many fathers and mothers of Nevada and Las Vegas that it was too premature. No one could get it done. So I said, well, I'm lieutenant governor. I've got a budget right now, and I'm going to plan a little mission, and let's see what I can do.
Okay.
And we negotiated a great contract for Nevada. Just celebrated our 10th anniversary of having exclusive office for Nevada in the People's Republic of China. And if you go along the Strip or downtown Fremont Street, you see the benefit of that endeavor. It's a gift that just keeps giving.
Wow. And what was it like in China? Did you have a good time?
It was wonderful. I loved the people. I called them our capitalist communists. They were so entrepreneurial. They reminded me the old Italian work ethic.
Oh, sure.
You say 40 hours a week. They go, what?
Yeah.
I said, well, you're limited. Otherwise, what? Oh, no. They were like our Italian family. That was a disgrace if you only work 40 hours.
Yeah.
60, 70, 80, 2 or 3 jobs. I mean, you want to get ahead? People's Republic of China, 2.4 billion people.
Yeah, work for it.
You better work, and there's a lot of competition, and if you don't, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
And that's what's unfortunate about today and what's happening in the United States of America, because that old Italian work ethic and the dream of achieving the American dream, America provided opportunities, not entitlements. And the world, the culture has changed so drastically, and regrettably, because it isn't good for our children and our grandchildren. What our grandparents taught us was far better. Because they said, you have an opportunity here in this great land of America. Now you go work for it, and you make it happen. Nobody's going to give it to you. You make it happen.
And like you said, you have to earn what you want.
Oh, I hope that can come back somehow. I hope we haven't lost it all.
Yeah, well, now, I know from seeing you at the club, you're active. You're active in state government still.
Yes.
You are, and then when we came in here, as we're setting up, they're talking to you about people are interviewing for jobs in the restaurant.
Yes. Oh, I've got my finger in everything.
So you're doing all of that.
My husband, the Dennis Bono Show, is in 11 million homes now. We're very proud of what he's done to carry on the great entertainment quality of the Great American Songbook and Las Vegas and all it has to offer. So we're just having a grand old time. And my mother's 98 years young.
98 years young.
And she's still in her restaurant 4 or 5 times a week, checking out her recipes, and it's a good life.
And she was seen very spry last week at the club.
Yeah.
And your aunt was there too.
Angie, who's a delight.
And
they're so cute. We call them our golden girls.
So what would you say is the secret sauce to your family? Because Larry has he didn't go into politics, but his philanthropic career and his business career.
I'm so proud of Larry. and what he's done with the Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health and the Cleveland Clinic. It's an amazing thing.
It is amazing.
It's something else. It's a gift that we'll keep on giving, not just to Nevada, but to the world.
Yeah.
And I think we come from that, going back to Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, and the section of Canada where it was all the poor Italians. That's where we came from.
Okay.
All poor Italians. And our grandparents had limited education. Our parents even had a little bit more, but not college degrees. But they taught us. They taught Larry. They taught me. First of all, we didn't know we were poor because we had so much wealth of food on the table, music in the household, generations around us encouraging us to do things and loving us. Yeah. Loving us and letting us know that no matter what, go out there, spread your wings, be all you can be, but you can always come home.
I see.
You know, and I think that just gave us the background, you know, and having the DNA for ambition as Italians, and the creativity. Yeah. Always thinking outside of the box. Well, how can I do this better? What can I do?
You know, we had one of the interviews we did. Somebody said, I said, what is it that makes Italians different? And this person said, you know what, one thing Italians have the ability to do is we can think of a thing in our brain and we can turn it into something real, like for your mother, food. Right. For you, your singing career, and then your business career and your government career. And do you think that's true, that Italians can think of something and then actually turn it into something real?
Obviously, Italians, we're not too good at war.
Yeah, that's true.
But we certainly are, by nature and DNA, the creativity that's there. Yeah. So the dreamers, my father was remarkable in that way. He was always teaching me to dream. He'd always say, but he was practical. Okay. He loved gambling.
Well, you're very pragmatic. You're a very pragmatic person.
Well, my dad said about Las Vegas, he said, boy, this is the street of dreams. Whenever Dennis was first met my dad, he'd say, can you sing the Street of Dreams? And Dennis would sing it, and my dad would go, yeah. Because he said, you can be all you can be here. But if you have weaknesses, character weaknesses, you know, with too much gambling, but my dad was Mr. Moderation.
Okay, good.
And he believed that, you know, that you could be all you wanted to be, moderation, creativity, and of course family, always family. But he'd always say, Lolly was my nickname, and he'd say, you know, keep your head in the clouds, put your feet on the ground. He was always telling me that.
Well, I know that you have important business to do from here. We're going to say thank you. I have one other question, and this is coming from somebody who really knows the restaurant business.
Okay.
Sauce or gravy?
Oh boy, that's a big battle sometimes. In our family, it was sauce.
Okay.
It was sauce in our family. However, in a lot of families, it's gravy, and you can start a big argument with Italians on it. Yeah. Is that you're one of those troublemakers that do that?
Well, it's a controversial thing. In my family, I grew up with sauce in Oakland.
One thing I do know, it's good.
It is good, and it's especially good here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lorraine, for your time. This was great. The members of the club are going to love it. I know everybody appreciates you down there. You spend a lot of time at the club.
We love our Italian-American club. We're so proud of what they're doing there, because going back, one more story before I close, if I may.
Sure.
My mother and father and Angie and Lou helped. We did many spaghetti and meatball buffets to raise money to buy the land on East Sahara to build the club. And what the boys have done there is resurrecting our dream, that they made it come back to where it was, and we're very proud of them, and that's why Mom and Dennis and Larry and me and my family were there to support them.
Well, and you know, your family is in the official record book of the club as the original small group of people that were there.
Yes.
So that's just another thing to add.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lorraine.